Hi, welcome along to World Cup Daily, the show where we take a look at the World Cup and Arsenal news. And we can only start with one place, and it's England being defeated yesterday by Uruguay. It's so disappointing. Bitten by Luis Suarez, and he done it again. I mean, absolute quality of the player. You can see now why Arsene Wenger last season, made his biggest ever offer to try and sign this guy. Absolutely clinical. Couple of chances in the game. The guy's not even fit, remember, and he took both of them with aplomb. And really, really disappointing in the end to lose that game. England again in parts of that game coming forward. We played okay. Rooney getting a goal, his first goal in a World Cup. That was good for him. And there was other occasions in the game where we had shots that were, I think Rooney hit the post as well, hit the bar, and we had shots, we had chances, but just never happened. And it looks like we're out of the World Cup. We need to rely on Italy to win their last two games. All right, they're probably going to go out and they'll go for it tonight to try and beat Costa Rica. And on paper, you would think they'd beat Costa Rica, but then going into that last game against Uruguay, I think if Suarez is playing, that's a pretty even game, number one. And number two, if they do secure the win tomorrow, Italy, will they rest players? Will they say to themselves, what's the point in us going into that last game and risking injuring some of our better players? We'll rest a few. So it's probably looking like that's the end of the road for England, I'm afraid. And listen, yesterday when I looked at that game, and I've been saying it right since the start of the tournament, I look at our midfield, right, and I think we've got Henderson and Gerrard there. Where is the creativity in that midfield? Why was Jack Wilshere on the bench? Why was he not brought on? Where is the creativity? The one player in the England team that can create something, go past a couple of players and put a pass in. Why did he not start? I just can't believe it. Steven Gerrard, I'm not being funny. He's been a great servant for England, but he's past his sell-by date. As you get older and you reach that sort of age, you don't just get physically tired, you get mentally tired, and you make mistakes, and that's what he did. And I'm sorry, I think after the tournament, I think that's going to have to be it for Gerrard. We need to go with these youngsters now. We need to give them a chance to flourish, to play. And I just didn't see the sense in Gerrard yesterday. He didn't play well in the first game. We're not brave enough to drop him. I mean, if you look at Spain, I know that they went out, but they dropped Xavi for that game. They recognised that, they needed something more, and they dropped out their legendary player. Now, are we brave enough to do those sort of things? And it just, to me, yesterday, the midfield is, to me, is a problem. Until we get somebody in there who can create, it's always going to be a problem for England. And also, the defending over the past couple of games, the defending by England has been nothing short of shocking. I look at that back four, and the only real proper defender in it is Cahill. The rest of them, they're decent defenders. But you can see, I mean, Jagielka, I'm sorry, weren't up to scratch for me. Johnson, he did well for the goal, but at times, a little bit lazy. And Leighton Baines as well. And is that because a lot of these guys haven't got that Champions League experience, whereas Cahill has? I don't know, but they seem to be lacking something, and it's very surprising. But definitely the defending over the past couple games has cost England. Going forward by England has been good, but that creativity in midfield and the defending has what's cost England over the past couple of games, and it looks to me like that's the end of the road. And a lot of people yesterday was bigging up Chris Waddle after the game, former England player. He was on BBC and he went into a right rant about England and how we've not learned and that. But one thing he said in his rant that really got to me, that really made me think that this is one of the reasons why as well that England don't progress, is that sometimes we have a certain arrogance about us that, yeah, the Premier League and we're the best in the world. We've got to go out there and prove that. Chris Waddle said in his rant, how many of those Uruguayan players, he goes, would get into a Premier League team. Now, I thought that was, come on. I mean, he's almost like he's looking at the Uruguay players like they're just average players. Listen, they just beat us. They're a better team than us. And when I looked through, I did a little rundown and took a look at the players. Obviously, we know Suarez plays for Liverpool already. We know Cavani plays for PSG. So this is some of the other players. When he says that which one of those players would get into the Premier League teams, well, Stuani's playing for Espanyol in La Liga. Pereira plays for Inter Milan. That's a big team as far as I know. Castro plays for Real Sociedad in La Liga. Perez Bologna in Serie A. Rodriguez plays for Atletico Madrid. They just got to the final of the Champions League. Gargano plays for Parma, who had a good season over there in Italy. Futsal plays for Porto, the top team in Portugal. Carreras plays for Juventus, who just won the league in Italy. Silva plays for Sporting Lisbon, a top team also in Portugal. Jimenez and Godin, both, especially Godin, he played in the Champions League final, both of them for Atletico Madrid. Muziria plays for Galatasaray, and Lugano, who's probably one of the worst players there, plays for West Brom. What are you talking about? This is why we need to stop that arrogance. Stop thinking that we're, just because of the Premier League, that we're great. We need to go back to square one, say to ourselves, give these young guys a chance, unleash these young guys, let these young guys play. I mean, that was one positive I take out of that Roy Hodgson did give a chance to guys, some of these young guys like Sterling. It was refreshing to see that, Barkley. But I still think that, you know, the midfield was a problem, and Jack Wilshere, not just with my Arsenal hat on, but Jack Wilshere should have been starting in that midfield to create some creativity. Should have been Jack Wilshere and Henderson, and Lampards and people like this. It's the end of the road for these guys. You know what I mean? They've had their time. Give the youth a chance. Just talking about the other results, Colombia beat Ivory Coast 2-1. A player I spoke about before the tournament on one of the videos, which is James Rodriguez getting a goal there, and really the driving force behind that team. And Colombia look a real decent outfit. Gervinho also popping up with a goal, very good goal in that game as well. And the other game was Japan 0, Greece 0. Greece do what they do and grind out a 0-0. And those were the other two results, but really, really disappointing for England. On transfer news, it's the whole Balotelli thing. This Balotelli stuff is really gathering steam, and it really makes you think, is there something behind it? I'm hoping there is something behind it, because me personally, I would love to see Mario Balotelli come to Arsenal. Well, there's a rumour going around today that AC Milan are willing to lower the price for Balotelli if Arsenal give them Joel Campbell in exchange. So they want Joel Campbell, and then they'll give us Balotelli. And of course, Campbell's stock has really risen now in this World Cup. I mean, after that first game, he was brilliant. He's going to be in action again today against Italy, and Arsenal have already said that they want to bring him back. Now, I don't know what you guys think of that. I'm like, no, we need to bring this guy back into the fold now, Joel Campbell. He's one of the most exciting young players at the World Cup at the moment, and we need to bring him back to Arsenal afterwards. He played well whilst on loan for Olympiacos. Let's give him a chance and get Balotelli. No getting things on the cheap. Let's get them both, right? It's also a rumour that Crystal Palace want to take Joel Campbell on loan. As I said, his stock's risen. He's proven he's played in the Champions League, and lots of clubs now are eyeing it and saying, well, if Arsenal don't want him, we'll have him. You know what I mean? And you can see why. But I think Arsenal definitely need to get him back in, bring him back to Arsenal now and start blooding this guy. I think he's ready. Other player we've been linked with is Mario Mandzukic. A lot of the papers reporting that Arsenal are saying if they're not able to get Balotelli, they're going to move for Mandzukic. As I said yesterday, I still think Mandzukic too much of a similar player to Olivier Giroud. Very good player, excellent goal-scoring record. You cannot deny that. But I don't know, I want a striker that can score on his own. You know what I mean? Take the ball up and run at people. That's not really Mandzukic's game. Mandzukic very similar to Giroud, where he gets on the end of things. And another player we've been linked with is Mauricio Isla. who's the Chile midfielder who plays for Juventus at the moment. Another player that we've been linked with. And I was watching that Yoshida as well last night. Japanese right back, don't look too bad. Don't look too bad. That's another player that Arsenal have also been linked with. But the Balotelli rumours are the rumours that are still doing the rounds, still hot at the moment. Let's get into some of the comments, and I'll tell you what, they've been really, really been rolling in today. I'll try and do as many of them as I can. Go Cool says, spot on, Robbie. I hate to say this, but actually English players are very average at international level, and Roy got his tactics wrong. This World Cup so far, teams have won based on pace, and England just wastes all their talent at their disposal. Gerrard looks old. I'm sorry, and I agree with him. I mean, you know, Steven Gerrard, as I said, no disrespect to him, he's been a great servant, but I just think that, you know, the time has come now to make the young guys go through. Ben says, I think we need to put a more attacking team out versus Costa Rica. So we need to play Wilshere, Barkley instead of Henderson, and Welbeck out. If Ox is fine to play, play him. If not, then Lallana. I'll tell you what, I can't see. I think Henderson does that role better than Gerrard. You know what I mean? Henderson's got more energy about him. Give Henderson a chance. I'd leave out Gerrard, to be honest, and you know, because Henderson's got more power. He's got more energy there. It's not that he's a much better player. He's not, but he's got more energy at the moment. The one L3 legend says, "Hi Robbie, what do you think England could have done differently to prevent the loss?" Well, I just said that I think Jack Wilshere should have started. There should have been more creativity in the midfield, and I also, well, listen, the defending's been awful. The defending, that's what's cost. You wouldn't think you'd say that about an England team, because that's normally the strength of England. Is normally we've got a very good defence, hard to beat. You know, we'll sort of stutter our way through the group stages because nobody's really able to score against us. But then when we come up against the really top teams, we then falter. Probably, actually, one of the differences this time is that we've got some of those really top teams in our group. A lot of times we've had some favourable groups. This time we haven't had. We've had a difficult group, and we sort of come a cropper early. LAF1993 says, Robbie, England definitely should have played Barkley longer and Wilshere. They should have also brought Cole too. Henderson didn't look at all threatening. Gerrard wasn't up to scratch either. And to be honest, I would have put Lampard on to give them those 30-yard shots. In the World Cup, you cannot be conservative, and it felt as if England were. Uruguay took the biggest risk of all by playing Suarez after 28 days of surgery, and he scores 2 goals. Amazing. That's very true. And I thought we didn't play in the same way as what we played the other night, where against Italy we did have an attack in the 10. I thought the fullbacks in particular, they didn't get forward. It seemed like they were so worried about, you know, players like Cavani and that they didn't get forward enough in that game. And when they did get forward, you know, we scored a goal. So, you know, Zach James says, hi, Robbie. Arsenal players haven't played a big role in England's World Cup journey so far. Do you think they would have made a change if they'd have started? Well, listen, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain would definitely have done some damage in some of those games. He always plays very well for England. But again, I think what the problem's been with England is not so much been going forward, and that's where the Arsenal players are most of the sort of in the England team are more forward attacking type players. The problem has been in defence, and the defence has been poor. Although I still think, as I said, if Wilshere would have been in the team, he would have given that team more creativity in midfield, and that would have helped to have made a big difference. Couple more. Thomas Owen says, is Arsenal going to buy Hulk? I don't think so. I think that's just one of those rumours that's out there, but I don't honestly think he'd be a lot of money, and I don't know, I think he'd be a big risk. So no, I don't think Arsenal will buy Hulk. Answer to your question. Hector Dominguez says, maybe it's time to drop Rooney as well. Let him earn his place rather than be handed an automatic starting spot. Listen, he was our best player last night, Rooney. You've got to hand it to him. He put in a very good performance. But that's the problem as well. Nobody should be an automatic choice in the team. Nobody. If you're not playing up to scratch, you don't get in. It should be as simple as that. Suto10 says, from a purely Arsenal point of view, he says it's good that Wilshere is not playing. It means he'll be able to be returned injury-free. I hear you. And just going to do the last couple here. Laf1993 also said, I'm hearing that AC Milan want Joel Campbell on loan for Balotelli. I would say do it and bring him back in January if he's not doing so well, and let him play a whole season. If he's really doing well, it can only benefit Arsenal. Sonogo may spark up if he trains technically because he has the drive and speed. He just needs a little bit of Thierry Henry training. Listen, as I said, I think it's time to bring Joel Campbell back. Let's get him back into the team. And I'm going to end with this one. Alosiak says, I think we have to put Wilshere in the team. He's one of the best creative players, and I agree with you 100%. And it's really, really, really disappointing. And we're looking for Italy to do us a favour now today in that game against Costa Rica. And it's not a given. I was really impressed with Costa Rica. I've been really impressed in this World Cup by the South American teams. Colombia, Chile, you know, apart from Brazil really has been the biggest letdown of all the South American teams. But I've just got a sneaking feeling that one of those South American teams are going to win this, you know. I mean, I've called Brazil all the way through, but they are really flourishing. They've got big crowds behind them, urging them on. They seem to be playing with a massive amount of pride. You saw Uruguay yesterday, and the South American teams are looking really good, and I think that there's going to be a few of them in there at the end. Listen, thanks for watching World Cup Daily. Unfortunately, it's disappointing news about England, but we can only hope and pray. You never know. It ain't all over yet. If this one does that, and if I get my calculator out and work out, and if we score this and that, we might be able to get through. But in reality, we're probably out. But hey, that's football for you. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, and look out for the videos that we filmed last night at Riley's. Brilliant. You've got to watch the reaction of the England fans when we was in that sports bar down the West End, when the England fans, when Wayne Rooney scored that equalising goal, the place went absolutely mental. Brilliant. Make sure you check out those videos and the interviews after the game. Thanks very much for watching.